Once upon a time, in the ancient city of Carthage on the shores of present-day Tunisia, a great battle was fought that would determine the fate of the city and its people. This is the story of the Siege of Carthage, a monumental clash between Rome and Carthage that would shape the course of history. After their defeat at the Battle of Zama, the Carthaginians had observed the terms of their treaty with Rome and sought to rebuild their city and nation. Led by the legendary general Hannibal Barca, Carthage thrived once again. However, Roman fears and animosity toward Carthage lingered, as they could not forget the difficulties they had faced in subduing Hannibal. In a bid to weaken Carthage, Roman leaders conspired with Massinissa, the ruler of neighboring Numidia, encouraging him to encroach upon Carthaginian territory. Provoked by these encroachments and with their prosperity at stake, Carthage was finally goaded into self-defense. In 150 BCE, Carthage declared war and sent their army, led by Hasdrubal, to confront Massinissa. This act violated the peace agreement that ended the Second Punic War, which stipulated that Carthage needed Roman consent to wage war. The Roman Senate, viewing this as an opportunity to destroy Carthage, dispatched a sizable force to Utica, a city that had recently pledged allegiance to Rome. There, two consuls, Manlius Manlius and Lucius Marcius Censorinus, took charge of the Roman expeditionary force. They expected a swift and victorious campaign, assuming that Carthage would offer little resistance. The Romans opened negotiations with Carthage, demanding the surrender of their fleet, weapons, and missile arsenal. The Romans argued that since Carthage would fall under Roman protection, the city would have no need for weapons. Reluctantly, the Carthaginians agreed and handed over their fleet, which was promptly burned, along with an estimated 200,000 sets of infantry weapons and 2,000 catapults. However, the Romans then announced their intention to destroy the city and ordered the inhabitants to leave. Carthage, determined to defend itself, rejected these demands, shut its gates, and prepared for war. The Romans launched their assault on Carthage, with Manlius leading the attack from the land side and Censorinus coordinating naval operations. Carthage had formidable defenses, surrounded by three massive walls that stood almost 50 feet high. The Carthaginians easily repelled the initial Roman assaults, leaving the invaders frustrated and astonished. As the Romans sought timber to construct additional siege weapons, they encountered Carthaginian forces led by Hamilcar, who had been harassing their base camps. In one engagement, a cavalry force under Hamilcar Phemias inflicted heavy casualties on the Romans and captured their weapons, dealing them a significant setback. Despite these challenges, the Romans persevered and eventually secured the necessary timber to build new siege machines, including battering rams. With these powerful weapons, they managed to breach the Carthaginian walls. However, the resourceful Carthaginians quickly repaired the breach and launched daring sorties, setting fire to and destroying the Roman siege machines. In the midst of the conflict, a Roman tribune named Scipio Aemilianus emerged as a hero. He bravely rescued trapped legionnaires and distinguished himself in engagements against Hasdrubal, earning the admiration of his comrades. The tide began to turn in favor of the Romans when, in 148 BCE, Hamilcar defected and brought with him a contingent of Carthaginian cavalry. Two new Roman consuls, L. Calpurnius Piso C. Sonibus and Lucius Hostilius Mancinus, arrived in Carthage. They concentrated their forces on besieging minor cities near Carthage, systematically destroying them one by one. Piso eventually retired to the city of Utica for the winter. Meanwhile, in Rome, Scipio Aemilianus, now a consul, set sail for Africa with additional forces in 147 BCE. He landed at Utica and swiftly came to the aid of Mancinus and his men, who had been cut off by the Carthaginians. Mancinus returned to Italy, while Scipio oversaw the construction of extensive siege works around Carthage. In a surprising turn of events, the Carthaginians secretly built a fleet of 50 triremes. Rather than launching a surprise attack on the unsuspecting Roman fleet, the Carthaginian admiral paraded his ships for practice and returned to port. When they finally ventured out to battle a few days later, they found the Roman fleet ready and waiting. The Carthaginians suffered a resounding defeat at the hands of the Romans. Despite their valiant resistance, the Carthaginians could not withstand the relentless Roman siege. In 146 BCE, after 3 years of struggle, Carthage fell to the Romans. The city was looted and burned to the ground, leaving nothing but ruins in its wake. As the spring of 146 BCE arrived, Scipio Aemilianus launched a major offensive against Carthage. Guided by Carthaginian deserters, the Romans managed to break through the three lines of Carthaginian defenses and entered the city itself. Fierce fighting erupted in the narrow streets and the towering six-story buildings that lined them. It was a brutal battle fought house to house and room to room. The Romans, determined to claim victory, laid plank bridges from the buildings they had already captured to reach the remaining structures, inching closer to the citadel on the slopes of the Birsa. As the Romans gained control over the buildings, Scipio made a fateful decision. He ordered the city to be set on fire, and for 6 days and nights, the flames consumed Carthage. Many Carthaginians, trapped within the burning structures, perished in the inferno. The Carthaginian leaders of the Byrsa, the citadel of the city, realized their fate was sealed. They appealed to Scipio, begging for the lives of those who wished to surrender. Scipio agreed, except for any Roman deserters among them. Around 50,000 people left the Byrsa under Roman guard, while only about 900 Roman deserters, as well as Hasdrubal and his family, remained inside. Hasdrubal, torn between loyalty and self-preservation, ultimately chose treachery. He opened the gates to the Romans and pleaded for mercy. Amidst the chaos, Hasdrubal's wife stood atop the burning temple. With great despair and condemnation, she denounced her husband's betrayal and, together with her sons, jumped into the engulfing flames. After the city was plundered, with Scipio himself refusing to take any spoils, the Romans proceeded to utterly demolish Carthage. The once proud city, which had stood as a beacon of Carthaginian power, was reduced to rubble. The surviving population of Carthage, once numbering around 500,000, now amounted to a mere 50,000. These survivors were captured and sold into slavery. The devastating destruction of Carthage left an indelible mark, giving birth to the term Carthaginian peace. With the fall of Carthage, Africa fell under Roman dominion, becoming a Roman province. The Siege of Carthage marked the end of an era, extinguishing the last vestiges of Carthaginian power, forever altering the course of history in the Mediterranean. The story of Carthage serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us of the consequences of war, treachery, and the price civilizations pay for their ambitions.